Hello everyone. I thought we could do one more video. It's for Christmas. This will be our Christmas story time together. I have with me You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. I have the Grinch here. I have his book here. And the craft is a Grinch craft, so I thought we could read the Grinch. Oh, he's like peeking. He doesn't sit up higher, I guess. No. Nope. Oh well. He can just be like creepy peeker there. There we go. No. You don't want to sit up. Well, then lay down over there, Mr. Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Oh boy, let me turn it. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that most likely reason of all that may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise! Oh, the noise, 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 noise! That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. They got drums and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop the whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. Although all their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed on the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only twice for a moment or two, Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, were the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the ice box. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding, and he took the roast beast. He cleaned out that ice box as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 past dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents and ribbons and wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings and trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. "Pooh, pooh to the Who's," he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open in a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, "Boo-hoo!" "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. Come here, my old Grinchy friend. There's his little heart. That the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. There, now he'll stand up. The end. I have a few Christmas signs. Sit down, Grinch. I have a few Christmas signs I can teach you. Just a few. The first one we can do is Santa. I'm going to move him aside. For Santa, we're going to use our hands. We're going to make like a beard at our face. So, boop, boop, boop. Just make a clumping beard at our face. This is Santa. For tree, we're going to have like our arm like this is the ground. And this is our tree. This is how you say tree. For wreath, we're going to take our hands, kind of like sea hands, and we're just going to, we're going to draw a wreath, a circle. Wreath. That one's pretty easy. To say Merry Christmas, there's kind of 2 ways you can do it. Merry or happy, we learned before, is like this, happy or merry. Christmas, you would take your C hand and just do half of a wreath. So, let me back up, Chris. Merry Christmas. Or the quick way to do it is to sign the letters MC. So to make the letter M, we're going to put our thumb over by our pinky, so all the way across, and bring our other 3 fingers down over it. So that's the letter M with our thumb touching our pinky. MC. Merry Christmas. Or Merry Christmas. Very good. Gift is kind of an odd one to do. So we're going to take our hands, see if you can see, kind of like crooked hook fingers there, or a thumb and our finger. Gift. So you kind of push it out like I'm going to give this to you. Gift. And you just keep your... It always feels so funny when I'm doing a video. I'm like, giant hands. Gift. So it's coming towards you, and it looks huge for me. Gift. That's gift. And then to say baby, you're just going to cradle baby. And the last one, if you want to say Jesus, you're going to take your middle finger, so you got thumb, pointer, middle, the ones in the middle, and touch it to your palm. Jesus. So you have baby Jesus. That's all. So those are the few signs I was going to teach you, and I'll show you your craft. You're going to have a lot in the bag this time. There's coloring pages. Got my Connect the Dots for Harrison. We've got several Connect the Dots because my buddy Harrison likes those. I got some mazes in here. There's lots of mazes. Another Connect the Dots. Some puzzles. And then you have to figure out which picture is different from the other one. So spot the difference. There's lots of different little papers in there. And then the craft, I'm not going to do it completely because I don't want to take a bag away from another kid. But you're going to have this little clear container. And then you'll take these little, see those little rectangles, those will come out. And then where those little rectangles are, you'll have a tree and the Grinch, and there's Max. And you'll stick those in there. And then you have some confetti in there, some sequins. There we go. And you just kind of stick that in the cup and put that all together. Whoops. This will stick. They're sticky at the bottom. I'm just not pulling it apart so I don't take a craft away from the kid. And there's little stars. You can put some of those little stars on the inside and on the outside if you want. See if they show you, like, here's a finished product there. So you can see they put some stars maybe on the ground on the inside or on the tree, and there's some on the outside. Now, I have to tell you, on the website where I got this, some people were saying, like, we tried to put water in it, and the water spilled out, and the children were crying, and it ruined our lives. It says right here, do not put water. It's not to be used with water. Reading is a great skill, so read your directions. Don't put water in it because it's not meant to have water in it. It will leak out. You just put these in here and give it a shake, and those little things will just fly through the air, but you don't put water in here. It'll leak out and make a mess. So don't ruin your days by having leaky little snow globes. They're not meant to be those kind of snow globes. So I hope you enjoy your snow globes and your coloring pages and your connect the dots. And thank you for joining me. And I hope you guys have a really wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. We'll see ya.